UP has not been historically known for any kind of technology initiatives. But since the government of Honorable CM Sri Yogi Adityanath ji has come into existence, there are a lot of initiatives which have been taken, and I would like to brief you a little bit before coming to the startup point. So we wrote our startup policy in 2017, and at the same time, we also worked on electronics manufacturing policy. Around 2017, we had only, I think, electronics manufacturing companies not more than double digit in Noida, Greater Noida region. And then we started promoting the investment. And I'm delighted to say that in past 5 years, we've been able to rope in more than 21,000 crore of investment. And the companies are more than 100 now. And this has become one of the emerging hotspots for electronics manufacturing in the country. And not just that, that now we are ready to invite, and in fact, we are in advanced stages of discussions with some of the mega investors to set up the fab units also. In terms of startup, we launched our policy in 2018, and very soon we realized that the startup ecosystem was evolving faster than we thought, and probably the policy was not serving the motive. And we decided to revisit the policy and launch the new one in 2020. When we launched the startup policy, we had a very small ecosystem of startups, not more than probably few hundred startups in the state. And I'm glad to say that as of now, currently in past, I think we are pretty much a new kid on the block and in terms of the startup ecosystem. But we are touching almost 7,000 startups in the state, and we have become the third largest startup ecosystem in the country. In terms of sectors, if I may talk about, our policy is sector agnostic. We are promoting all kinds of startups. But we also saw that there were some other schemes of the government from the digital empowerment perspective. For example, we are connecting all 60,000 villages of the UP through Bharat Net scheme, which will be connected to high-speed broadband connectivity. And at the same time, government has decided to distribute 1 crore smartphone tablets. So you can understand the kind of digital empowerment which is going to happen to the youth. And it was very important for us to take stock of these policies and understand that how can we galvanize the startup ecosystem in the state? How can we create a conducive policy environment? And obviously, we would not like to take all the credit and claim, because startup ecosystem grows naturally. And as a government, what we can do is probably give some ahutis in this Mahayagna of Atmanirbhar Bharat by our policies and initiatives. So we are setting very ambitious targets for us. We are chasing a count of 100 incubators in the state, out of which we have already established 50 of them, including all the premier institutions, whether IIM, IITs, etc. And the startup ecosystem is growing like never before. It has put additional pressure on us. And from the space tech startup perspective, now we have also started realizing that because ecosystem has become quite well now, so there is a need for subsectoral policies. And from the space tech perspective, in past 5-6 months, I have seen few startups coming up in the space tech sector as well. And they reached out to me asking for the support. And unfortunately, we had absolutely no support. I reached out to IITs to find out what all we have. And in terms of infrastructure, I could find that wind tunnel and some other facilities are there. But a holistic ecosystem is completely missing. My interest grew in space tech, and not just UP, but I am in touch with a lot of startups across the country, including Bihar, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka, and just trying to understand that as a policy maker, what does it take for us to actually create uh, a policy which is actually helping the startups on the ground. And I have found that, there are specific issues as we are discussing the challenges of the startups. The first one is about the awareness of the space tech ecosystem. Almost everyone is talking about creating a launch vehicle. And I find that, the entire space industry ecosystem is so vast, and, because if you go for upstream hardware, the funding requirements are huge. And as a startup, you can't really afford that. If I talk about my policy, we offer 5 lakh rupees as marketing allowance to launch your MVP. You can neither create your MVP in 5 lakh rupees, nor you can launch it in space tech. So as government, what I understand is that there is a complete overhaul of our thinking as well in terms of supporting these startups, because our existing policies and even the definition of a startup, the definition of MVP, the definition of funding, like Startup India Seed Fund Scheme. It's a fantastic scheme helping startups throughout the country, but space tech startups cannot get benefited. I'm on almost all the Startup India Seed Fund committees and as a member, and looking at it, but it's really difficult to see that 7-8 lakh rupees are being granted to them. So I think it was a fantastic opportunity for me to come here and understand all the views here. But I'm looking forward to engage with all of you and understand what more can be done from the policy perspectives, and also solving the challenges of the startups on the ground, actually.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.